Time now, boys and girls, for the Nutnfancy review on the Cold Steel Spartan. Dudes, I will say when I first saw this knife, in catalog, of course, for the first time, I was like, that's a pretty cool blade. I like the looks of it. I like the ergonomics that the handle affords, enveloping the hand completely forward and aft. I like it. Organic curvature on the blade. Then when I got a hold of one in person, everything was confirmed. This is a nasty, large folding knife. Jumping into the talking points, I'm going to say a large folding tactical blade. There's probably a couple reasons guys would want, actually maybe three I'll say, that would want a Cold Steel Spartan. One, for collectability, just because it is a fun, cool knife that's impressive. It'll impress your friends, they'll like to see it. For guys who like blades, perhaps. Nothing wrong with that. And the price is so affordable when we get down to value. Dude, throw it into the collection. Totally worthwhile reason in and of itself to own the Cold Steel Spartan. Secondarily, tactical blade, i.e. emergency defensive use. Yeah, we've talked about this lots. Could you use a Spartan in that fashion? I think it's all about that POU. If you ask me, it's large, it has a lot of belly on the blade, has incredible slashing capability. Yeah, that's what it's about. The handle, like I said, very secure. We'll talk maybe a couple more specifics here in a minute about that. Large tactical folding knife. Also with that handle, you can do non-lethal impacts because it's nice and long, just like it. You know, smack Mr. Bad Guy that way. I mean, if we don't have to employ lethal force, let's not. How's that? If we have an option, actually, number one option is run away. Get out of there. But if you can't and you don't have options, it might be a good knife to have that day. You think? Talked about that, like with its cousin, and by comparison, also on the reviewing table, a Nutnfancy favorite, Cold Steel Espada. Love this blade. Love it. So cool. Large is my favorite. I said that in the review, no doubt. Interesting comparison because you think when you're holding the Spartan, wow, that's a massive folder. Well, everything's comparative, right? As soon as the Espada large comes to the party, a little bit bigger. Spartan is still a very big blade, strong blade. We'll talk about that. Nice knife. But this is in the same POU. That's kind of why I'm talking about it now. Large, potentially very effective emergency defensive tools. Okay? Enough said on that. Size. This is a large folder. It's not the largest, as I just demonstrated. 4.5 inch long AUS 8 blade. Okay? It's not a lightweight blade either, by the way. About 9.4 ounces according to my measurements. I don't know why, but on the Cold Steel website, June 2010, they showed 7.5 ounces. Maybe it was if you dudes milled out these nested liners in the handle, the Grivery handle. That would be cool. I'd be all for that, Cold Steel. When you guys watch this review, and Andrew, this is an awesome design you did. It really is. Andrew Demko is a designer of this blade. Very talented knife maker. That's all I can say, a designer. But I would love to water jet these out, maybe at razor's edge, and see how much weight we could peel off of this sucker. It's still going to be a heavy blade. The reason I'm bringing that up is because perhaps you could get it down to around the 7.5 ounce, weight. I think that would be somewhat of a challenge. It would probably be more around 8 ounces if we totally milled those liners out. Weight sometimes is a good thing. What? What did Nutnfancy just say? Rewind the video. What did he just say? Weight is sometimes a good thing? Yes, it is. That's because of kind of how I envision this knife. Let's get back to the first reason I think that guys will have it, and that is first type of cool. They will just love to have it. It feels substantial in hand. Okay, and in that philosophy of use, I don't know, maybe the weight's good. If you're going to use it as an impact tool, like I was discussing there earlier, weight would be a good thing. For everyday carry, generally speaking, keeping it real, it's a bad thing. Okay, now I've always said if I get something in return for the weight, I'm okay with it to a certain point. 9.4 ounces though, for me, a 4.5 inch blade, that's kind of pushing it. I did carry around the Spartan with me several weeks now, actually, just checking it out. In fact, in the Fitzen visit last time, you probably saw me deploy the Spartan in very slow fashion because at the time I was not practiced with it. And this is a blade you're going to have to practice with to deploy it readily. You catch that? But at that time, I was kind of impressed, you know, as I've carried around, that it does carry actually pretty good for its weight. I would like to see it weigh about 7.5 ounces, given a choice. So, of the steel, again, AUS 8A, I think that's right. Yep, that's right. AUS 8A steel. Good edge holding, easy enough to sharpen. Wait, maybe not so easy enough to sharpen. Why is that? Because it has that organic curvature to the blade. For most people, that's a difficult proposition for sharpening. Don't say it isn't. It is, because you have to keep your sharpening media perpendicular to the edge. That means you're going to be constantly changing it. Some dudes are skilled at it. I am not. Even Fitzen himself says as much. It's just difficult. Not that it is impossible, but to get the factory edge blade, razor edge sharpness on it again, somewhat of a challenge. By the way, this thing does come razor edged out of the box. Nice belly though. Said that at the beginning of the review. Great slashing performance. Hollow ground from about the mid-spine area, as you can see. Flats up here. Bead blasted AUS 8 steel. Is it the best steel in the world? Nope, it isn't. But it's a good, high value, all around good performing stainless steel. The only downside that I've said in many other reviews is that the rust resistance on it is not outstanding. I've seen this a lot in some older Spyderco blades. Not really the fault of the maker, it's just the nature of the steel and its composition. But for this blade, like many other cold steel knives, I think it's a great choice, especially for the price point you're going to get it for. Look at the sharp tip you get on that too. Okay, can you penetrate, stab with this thing? Probably. I think it's primarily a kukri style blade, i.e. it's going to present a curved cutting edge to the surface, so i.e. slashing blade. That's its primary calling in life. I could be wrong. Speed. Okay, getting back to the blade, has the thumb ramp on it that we're seeing in several cold steel designs these days, to include the Raja one. Oh, you didn't know Raja was at the party too, did you? Check this nasty thing out. And it's a good feeling when I've already reviewed a knife in the Nutnfancy project. Makes me feel good inside. I love these Rajas. The 1, the 2, nasty blades. And again, you think your Spartan's big? Dude, put it next to the Raja. Tripod's right in the way. It's hard for me to deploy. Still a big blade. Bigger still. But there's that same thumb ramp. Can you use it to deploy the knife? Well, I've been doing it all along here. Yes, you can. Just like a lot of deployment methods, it will take some practice. You may have to situate your hand and your thumb in a special way. A little bit of wrist action. Yeah, it comes out readily, I think. It just takes a little practice. Pocket deployment, also doable. Takes practice. Sometimes you may grab your fabric a little too deep with that thumb ramp and end up snagging your pocket. That might be somewhat of a disadvantage. Overall, though, I will say from my own experience, the cold steel Spartan deploys readily. And when it locks up, dude, it locks up like a bank vault. King Leonidas, again, being very proud of the design. No movement whatsoever, left or right, up and down. Man, tight. Probably an outgrowth of good tolerances and also the triad-lock mechanism that I've discussed in video form many times before. You can see it here in the cold steel catalog, going over all the specifics where the forces are transferred in particular fashion to the bolt stop or the stop pin, and it's machined in a certain way that you have extra space to allow wear. That's a strong lock. They prove it on video. I mean, what more do you want? Specifically, the cold steel video shows them hanging 300 pounds off the cold steel Spartan. Nice job. Yeah, I get it. 300 and 300. Just like the movie. Cool though. This is strong, and it's probably attributing to that very tight lockup. If you ever do get movement side to side, you can adjust it right there. Great job though. And that's the impression you're going to get, maybe going back to the heavier weight when you hold and handle the Spartan, that it is a substantial blade. Kind of seems like a Fred Flintstone blade to me. I don't mean that in a bad way. I'm just saying very caveman-like. Milled out of rock, and steel. The Spartan. Yeah, for me, a caveman blade. It's just nasty. Great strength. Handle material is that Grivory we've talked about before, Cold Steel chooses. I love the sculpting job Demko put on that handle. I think it's cool. It looks great. It's got the molded in texturing and the smooth portions on the flats. It's just cool looking. It's attractive, and I love the handle shape. Devoid of any kind of jimping, front, back, top. I mean, there's a little bit molded in here, but that's pretty much worthless. You don't really need it on this blade, though. What? Rewind the video. What did Nutnfancy say? He doesn't need jimping. No, you don't, because look at the handle ergonomics. Look at that. I mean, does it get any better? If you're talking about the POU of a tactical blade, is this not the most ideal handle you could have? I think so. Because it would be hard to wrench the knife from the dude that's wielding it, just by virtue of design of the handle. It completely surrounds your handle, your hand forward and aft. What a great job. So if we do decide, heaven forbid, do a thrust cut, is your hand going to egress forward upon the cutting surface? There's no way it can. It's totally blocked by the deep recess of the handle. Same for coming aft too. You know, if you want to go reverse grip, is that doable? Yeah, it is. Beautiful ergonomics on the handle. It's just a home run. Nice deep finger groove here. I mean, again, you have to hold it to appreciate it. I think Spartan owners pretty much rave about the handle. It rocks. Ergonomics in overall. We talked about the thumb plate. You have to practice with it. Does take a little bit of technique. Ergonomics overall, outstanding. Well, getting back to the handle though, again, I know I want to hit this again. Let's mill that out. Take off an ounce, maybe 2 ounces. Clip design, you're going to get 2 clips for left hand and right hand carry. Positionable, thank you very much. On the correct end, that is tip up. Yes, that's my preference. It always has been. I love it. It's faster deploying knife for me, especially with the thumb plate right here as we grasp it and drag it out of pocket and snag it. What's this right here? That is a zipper pull. That's just something temporarily I put on there. Namely, it's a Chums brand Zip Quicks, and it blends kind of nicely with the blade, don't you think? What it allows me to do is extract that handle from the pocket, because not much protrudes. You can see right here. That's about it. And for a thumb plate deploying, or i.e. waved type deployment, I really want to purchase on that. I don't want to drop it as it comes out. Just a thought. You know, other guys will put lanyards on there of all sorts and descriptions. The clip itself is actually pretty darn good. There's no Wizard of Oz issues going here, and it's nice and tight, and that's kind of what it needs to be for an almost 10-ounce blade. Again, the other clip I don't have on the table right here, but you can position it to the other side. Durability pretty much should be awesome, don't you think? Triad-lock mechanism, full stainless steel liners, Grivory handle. There's no movement or play. I haven't taken it out and thumped on it. Maybe someone will. But I suspect it's going to be outstanding, like a lot of these cold steel blades are. The value, smoking. Where am I at? There I am, looking through the viewfinder. I'm going to tell you the price as of June snapshot 2010. Usually I don't do that because guys will find this video in the years to come and they'll lament the fact that they didn't get it when the price was low. $51 at our friends yourcornerstore.com. Bam, there it is. I said it. $51 for a knife like this? Keep in mind that a very heavy duty tactical blade like this generally is going to cost you anywhere from about $1.25 to maybe $200. Do you remember the zero tolerance knives I reviewed like a long time ago? Those are kind of bigger blades, heavier duty blades, and heavy blades in and of themselves. How about this blade? You haven't seen this in a while, right? Oh man, I reviewed this one a long time ago. The beautiful Cuda Max 5.5, that gorgeous titanium handle. That's also an expensive blade, right? This is $51. Same philosophy of use, and also it has a secondary, maybe the primary, depending on your point of view, attraction of being collectible. And I shouldn't say collectible, but just pride of ownership. That's what I'm trying to say. that you will love having the blade. That gets us to cool factor. It looks cool. It's a caveman knife, man. Maybe the attraction to Sparta really turns you on and you dig that too. Dude, that was a cool movie. It was sick. Loved it. And yes, that is the inspiration to this blade, the Kopis swords or whatever. But great job. I mean, strong blade. I think it comes out plenty fast if you're practiced with it. It's a good choice in steel, solid lockup, great locking mechanism. Oh, and one thing I forgot to mention. Thank you very much. Cold Steel actually put a proper sized spring in that handle. Hey, check out the light I'm using. Oh, Prion. Love it. See that? That's a proper size spring. That black thing there, yeah. On the Cold Steel Black Rhino, we saw that it was not so properly sized. Okay, so that means it has great in-handle retention. I think some dudes are saying the way they deploy it is they kind of throw the blade out. You know, whatever. For me, I'm going to use the thumb ramp, or I'm just going to practice snagging it on the pocket. Oh, and check this. First on that side, of course, the logo Spartan. Couldn't resist. That's right, had to engrave it. And that against that bead blasted finish, engraving it just, I don't know, it looks kind of cool to me. Dig it. It's a great knife. The only thing I can really say is lighten it up, maybe water jet those liners, and other than that, the Spartan is a total winner, as long as you can find someone to sharpen it for you. That's Nutnfancy's review, the Cold Steel Spartan. Oh yeah, I was going to say one other thing. Spartans!